Is Bitcoin about to explode? Cathie Wood sure thinks so, and so do I. I want to take a look and break down Cathie Wood's latest interview about the spot Bitcoin ETFs and when they could potentially be approved and what's going to happen to Bitcoin price once these Bitcoin ETFs get approved. Let's get into it.
Everything exchange traded funds. I'm your host, Bob Pisani. On Friday, the SEC chose not to appeal an important case on a spot Bitcoin ETF, making that long-awaited ETF much more likely. Joining us now, someone who very much has a dog in that fight, ARK Invest CEO Cathie Wood. Also joining us, Tom Lydon, Vice Chairman of VettaFi. Cathie, you're one of the 9 applicants for a spot Bitcoin ETF. It does look like the SEC may be forced to approve a spot Bitcoin ETF. Can you tell us what, if any, communications you've had with the SEC and what else we might know about this? How do we push the ball forward here?
Well, actually, our partner, 21 Shares in Europe, did answer or send in information in response to SEC questions, and we sent them in on Thursday, I think, or it was publicized that we did. So what we see here is a little bit of a change in the SEC's behavior. They actually are asking questions, and we provided 5 pages along with our partner of answers to those questions. So progress, we would say, yes.
Yeah, one thing I noticed, Cathie, is that the interest in Ether futures ETFs, which only started a couple of weeks ago, and we had some of the people on from ProShares involved in that, it's been rather muted since they were introduced a couple of weeks ago. I'm wondering if a spot Bitcoin ETF is really going to move the needle this time. It's interesting because Bitcoin's been sideways for months, and yet we've known that this ruling came in, and it's known that they likely may not appeal, and yet doesn't seem to be moving Bitcoin. It's up a little bit today. Is interest a little more muted in Bitcoin than it used to be?
Judging by the questions we're getting, no. I think many people focus on our price target for Bitcoin, and our base case is over $600,000 by the year 2030, and they really want to understand that. So maybe they're just trying to understand our research, but there's definitely a focus on, is this a new asset class that I should investigate? And I would say institutions, especially, when they see the SEC seal of approval in this way, I think this will finally bring institutional interest into Bitcoin.
Are you on board with that idea? I mean, what's interesting to me, and the reason I ask is when the Bitcoin futures ETF launched, BITO from ProShares, we had Simeon Hyman on. Yeah. This was, almost 2 years ago, and boy, the interest was through the roof on this.
$1 billion in a day,
huge.
Right?
And we've got a few $1 million in the Ether futures. Am I being petty here? Or
No, I don't think so, Bob. I think we're at a critical point in time. This issue with Grayscale is forced the SEC's hand. And really, up until Friday, when they had their deadline, the SEC and Grayscale just weren't talking. Now that they've passed on this appeal date, they're forced to have a conversation. All during the last few weeks, though, they've been talking to ARK, they've been talking to all the other applicants, which gives good confidence that this is going to happen. And when it does, it may take a few months. We do a lot of surveying, as you know, with the folks at Bitwise and advisors for the last 5 years. The big issue is they don't feel like they have real access to cryptocurrency just because of their platforms. Now, if we have a spot opportunity in a whole variety of different issuers, that will change.
So you agree with Cathie's point that this will increase institutional interest?
It absolutely will.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's on platforms as opposed to exchanges that still aren't regulated.
Yeah. So my understanding here is the court will issue its mandate. It'll tell the SEC this is what you have to do to be in compliance, and they'll move from there. We should know fairly soon about what's going to happen here.
This is some great news for Bitcoin bulls. With this kind of regulation, it's going to give it the stability it needs to hit that next leg up. My price prediction for 2024 is $50,000 per Bitcoin. I think for the long-term stability of Bitcoin, regulation is a good thing. And with these spot ETFs coming from 9 huge funds, it's going to give us a platform with some regulation. So a lot of these institutions that are a little weary on going to certain exchanges and buying cryptocurrency, I think it will give them the peace of mind and help Bitcoin get that next leg up. I really think it will happen before the end of the year that these spot Bitcoin ETFs will get that approval, and then we might see an initial leg up, but it's going to take a year or two to play out for all these institutions to start piling in, and that's going to give Bitcoin some real price stability, because a lot of these funds don't like to move in and out of positions too frequently, probably in that $30,000 to $35,000 range, and then the upward momentum could be, in the 60s or 70s even if the ball really starts rolling. But I like my $50,000 price target. And listen, guys, if you want to start piling into some of these Bitcoin miners, they've been obliterated over the last couple of years. I'm invested in CleanSpark. So if that's a company that might interest you, check them out. They're like $3 a share right now, and that stock price could 3, 4, 5x in the next year if we see that increase in Bitcoin price. I don't think you can go wrong with buying Bitcoin straight up or just buying these ETFs, and that will give you a little more peace of mind with the regulation that goes with all these big funds. All right, let me know in the comments below, guys, what is your price target for Bitcoin over the next year? And do you think these ETFs will get approved by the end of 2023? Thanks for tuning in, guys. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I will catch you guys on the next video. Peace.